Hey, so today I'll be watching Raven of the Inner Palace, Episode 1. And what particularly drew me to this anime is the fact that I believe it's actually from a Chinese manhwa, but it was adapted by the Japanese. And I love historical anime. When it's set back in time and a certain period of time, I really like those because it's different than usually what we get right now. And also because I'm not too familiar with Chinese anime. I've seen a few, like I've seen maybe 3 to 5. I do like them, but it's just something about it. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just too used to Japanese anime. But for me, Chinese anime, for one, it always seems to be a little bit too short. They're not like 20 minutes long. They're like maybe 10 or less minutes long. The ones that I've seen anyways. And two, everything seems very fast paced, very like here to the next. Like I don't fully understand it. And I'm also confused sometimes. And the reason why I want to watch this anime is because like years ago I saw the anime series called Fox Spirit Matchmaker, which originally is a Chinese anime that was eventually that the first like 50 or so episodes were adapted into 24 episodes by a Japanese company, and it was dubbed over by Japanese voice actors. To me, it seemed very cohesive, very well done. And when that ended, because they only did like 24 episodes and that was it, they didn't continue the series. So when I went to go continue the series in Chinese, it was very different, very fast paced, very all over the place for me personally. I'm not judging that either. I'm just saying that to me, I just find it just a little bit confusing sometimes. And I do like hearing Mandarin and the other languages in Chinese. It's not a matter of like I prefer hearing Japanese to Chinese. It's just to me sometimes it's just a little bit more difficult to follow the story because of how like they decide to like edit it or put certain scenes together in Chinese anime versus Japanese anime, which is more like a linear, like chronological order type of thing. Really in a good order. Where when I saw the Chinese one, it's a little bit different. But that's mainly why I want to watch this one because I knew it was based off of a Chinese manhwa, and I really want to see it because it looks really pretty, and it's also based in ancient China. Now to the episode.
誰だ
か公主
敗退しかひざまずけ命乞いをしろならば死ね
Is he gonna kill her? So much for her ego. He actually killed her. Ooh. Ooh. I love these drawing type of things.
妃でありながらよとぎをすることのない特別な妃だった
ターチャー本当にウヒをお尋ねになるのですかそのために来ているそなたがウヒか
帝が何用だ
無礼なウヒたるそなたに頼み事がある呪殺祈祷うせ者探し頼まれれば何でも受けようそれがそなたの役目だと聞いている
人を呪わば穴二つ呪殺ならば命よ祈祷ならば財産うせ者探しは王相談持ち主なぞお主が一声かければすぐに知れよそれをせぬのはできぬ事情があるのか暇つぶしの推挙かどちらにせよろくなことではなかろう
誰にものよい
He touched her.
そなたは人だそうだろうまだ名を聞いていなかったなんという
Don't let his charms fool you.
お主の頼み事は聞かぬさっさといいね
Ooh. Pretty convenient.
忘れ物だ。
女神であるウレンニャンニャンに仕えていた巫女の末裔。ウヒの不思議な術に傾倒していた皇帝たちはその力を独占するため後宮に囲い、特別に妃の位を与えた。誰もウヒには命令できない。
お主は私の言うことを全く聞かぬな。
She caught the smell of food immediately. Nah, he wants the request granted first.
話を聞いてくれるか。
話だけなら聞いてやってもよい。
ウヒは何でもわかるのではないのか。
我が思う。私は神なんだけど、だから人を探すには気が足りない。
これを左耳にだけつけていた。その女が何者かということならわかるだろうか。
分かったとてどうだというのだ。帝が出張ってくるほどの要件か。
知りたいだけだ。そなたはパオズ分の仕事をする。それでどうだ。ただ飯ぐらいではそなたも気分が悪かろう。そう言われたのは初めてだ。そなたは思ったよ。
Oh my god. Is that a previous consort?
卑品であったな。
そのようだ。
あの手首の印。
三つ星、今の王朝のものだ。
首を絞められたか、つっての自害か。不幸な死に方をしたせいでこれに取り付いているのであろう。
人は死ねば海の向こうの楽土に行けるのだという。勇気となってはそれも叶わず、いつまでも苦しまねばならない。
お主は何故あの勇気に心を砕くのだ。
不憫であろう。
結局引き受けて、
She looks so ordinary. She can go out like that and nobody would recognize her. Oh, she does.
ちょっと縫うだけじゃ嫌だって言うならお父様に言ってあんたのうちの店潰してやろうかしら。
そんな縫い物くらい自分ですればよかろう。幼子ではあるまいに見ての通りただの救助だ。この娘は嫌がっておる。お主は自分で自分のこともできぬのか。ここにいる宦官と文を交わしているみたいで。はあ、これって秘密だわ。私が言ってたって言っちゃダメよ。そう、それはそうよね。ねえねえ、ウヒってどんな人？ 100 歳を超えたおばあさんって噂は本当？16歳だ。若いのね。ひょっとして喋っちゃダメなのね。
Oh, I thought she was gonna say, "Are you her?"
私はジュージュ。
Oh.
今時お妃様だってそんな古い喋り方しないわ。
Hmm.
なのか。
Maybe she is that old.
お主は今の帝の代からここに入ったのか。今の皇太后様よ。幽閉されてる。幽閉？
I thought she was killed.
じゃあ今の帝が敗退士になってたことも、どの生みのお母様を殺害したっていうわ。その上皇太子だった帝を敗退士にして、だから帝も麗しいお姿をなさっていると聞くけど。面白みのない男だったぞ。いや、帝の母親以外にも不幸な死に方をし、皇太后様に3つ浮かばれて処刑された妃もいれば、毒殺された妃もいて、毒殺した方も首をつって死んだとか。
ハン王女は三の妃の宮に住んでいたんだ。
Ooh, I love this kind of storytelling.
美人で、ある日そのお妃が厚物に入っていた毒で亡くなったの。彼女は身ごもっていてね。厳しく調べたらハン王女の部屋の室から朗読が出てきたのよ。その日の夜、ハン王女は首をつって死んだわ。部屋の梁に自分の皮膚をかけてね。
毒など他のものが仕込むことも可能であろう。
そりゃそうよ。ここで起きることは何だってそう。
That's such a sad reality.
殺された時だって 表向きには駒使いが犯人に仕立て上げられて処刑されたのよ。でもおかげで私たちは噂話には事欠かない。
Well, that's true.
高級では娯楽なのだ。
Hmm.
仕方ないわよ。私たちは一生ここから出られないんだから。
That sounds harsh.
そういえばこんな話を聞いたことがあるわ。今の帝のおじい様、炎帝の話。炎帝は妃の宮にお渡りになると一晩中明かりをつけたまま過ごしていたんですって。夜になると勇気が現れるからって。炎帝は前王朝の蘭家の一族を根絶やしにしたわ。老人も女性も小さな赤ん坊まで見境なく。
So he was afraid of the dark, seeing the ghosts of everything that he killed.
勇気たちは蘭家の印の美しい銀髪を振り乱して呪いの言葉を吐き続けるんですって。炎帝は死ぬまでずっと悩まされてたんだそうよ。
皇太后はおとなしく幽閉に甘んじているような方ではありません。先帝をそそのかしターチャを敗退死に追い込んだ女です。どうしてあの時首をはねなかったのです。母君の仇のその首を。今のターチャならそれらしい罪を作って処刑することなど。
それではあの女と同じだ。
Mm-hmm.
同じ鉄は踏まない。
Well, he's admirable.
シャヒは舞の名手だと聞く。みんな見たいと思わぬか。ぜひ見たいわ。
Even the dancers? Wow.
母上はなぜ笑い物にされてもこらえているのですか。なぜ歯向かおうとしないのですか。
ここに来るのはもうおよしなさい。
わかりました。もう来ません。
Surprisingly obedient.
シャヒ様の駒使いの部屋から毒が見つかったとか。
お母様が抵抗なさらなかったのはあなた様に危害が及ぶのを恐れてのことですよ。
I knew she was gonna smile.
一石一石、あの女の石を奪い逃げ道を塞ぐ。法の上でも断りの上でも完璧な理由を見つける。それをもって皇太后の首をはねる。母上をむごたらしく殺したあの女を許しはしない。
Is she a Luan? She dyes her hair. Of course he would see that!
忌まわしき銀髪は前王朝蘭家の証。一人残らず反逆者の首をはねよ。
でも忘れないで。この髪が祝福でありますように。呪節。
Kinda hard to believe it's a blessing when you gotta hide it. They could just behead her, they didn't have to beat her to death.
お母さんどこ？お母さん。
あの店の女だろ。
She looks good with white hair.
池のそばに器を忘れていたぞ。ここに置いておく。濡れた体を拭いておけ。病のもとだ。今夜はもう帰る。
So he doesn't care. Oh, was she concerned for her friend?
お主には私の次女になってもらいたいのだ。
Oh, because she doesn't have one.
初めて袖を通し
How she accept her right away?
私なんかがウシ様の次女にしていただけるなんて。私のための次女を選抜するという名目で女官長部を閲覧した。他に救助の知り合いなどおらぬからな。なんだ。
Aw. She really thought that she picked John specifically.
お主ら、ただのゴロつきではないな。
Oh, she doesn't have her hairpins. She can just make those? Cool. Oh my god.
あやつらは何者だ。
おそらく交代号の手のものかと。
交代号。あの宦官は衛星の手下ではないのか。
存じ上げません。
I thought they were working together.
主は大事ないか。
No tongue.
なのか。むごいことをする。ヤメ宮に連れて行こう。本家、運んでくれ。
困りますよ。勝手に連れて行かれては。
Why not?
私はウヒだ。私の権限でこの者は連れて行く。文句を言う者がいたら、ヤメ宮まで来いと言っておけ。私が文字を書けると知られたら殺される。だから書けないふりをしていました。誰がお主を殺すというのだ。皇太后様。
皇太后様が三の妃を殺したのです。三の妃が身ごもったからです。皇太后様は藩王女様の駒遣いを金子で言いくるめ、朗読を筆に入れさせたのです。実家の家族を殺すと脅されたのです。藩王女様は自ら首を吊ったのではありません。三の妃殺しの罪を着せられるために殺されたのです。でも次女の私が殺すと目立つから舌を切って喋れなくした。
これには勇気が取り付いているのだ。おそらく藩王女の。それをとても大事にしておいででした。もう片方は故郷の許嫁が持っていると。でもある日誰かにあげてしまったようなのです。
そなたに口止めをして藩王女に罪を着せ殺した宦官の名はわかるか。
古元か。皇太后の腰巾着とでも申しましょうか。今は内牧領にいます。
あの時始末せずにいてよかった。藩王女の許嫁だったという男の名は。
覚悟。千栄領で襲われた時に助けてくれた方ですよね。あの時は宦官の服を着ていたな。
いえ、高級に忍び込んだのか。侵入は死罪だぞ。
そなた藩王女の許嫁だったそうだな。
小水が毒を盛るわけがない。下がれ。
That's a bit extreme.
小水というのは藩王女の呼び名か。
はい。小水が人殺しなんてするはず。
探して高級に忍び込んだのか。許嫁の死の真相を探るために。
私と小水は幼い頃から許嫁でした。それが突然高級に上がるからと会うことも許されなくなった。都に向かう前の。
私のこと忘れないで。
そんな唯一の形見すら私は高級で落としてしまった。ウヒ様、小水の勇気に合わせてくださいませんか。
あの勇気はお主の見知った姿ではない。
どんな姿でも構いません。小水に一目会える。小水。
Do you still curse for her?
これ私が10歳の時のことだ。母の葬儀の後、高級で彼女に会った。その耳飾りをくれと買うたのだ。大事な相手が生きている彼女に嫉妬して、私は耳飾りを取り上げたことをすぐに後悔したが、返す機会を失してしまった。いつか返したいと 思っていたのだ。
Just looking over the moon.
小水小水
ハン王女はラクドへ行ったのか。
ああ、ほんの一時許嫁に会えたことが救いとなったのだろう。
高級に忍び込んだ罪は死をもってあがないます。
Oh my god.
その必要はない。許嫁に会いに行くのは生を全うしてからにせよ。
私はある宦官と救助の話を聞いたのです。彼らは陛下を毒殺する案を密かに練っているようでした。蔵書楼です。
That girl.
主事魚主、厄介な救助に絡まれておったであろう。蔵書楼からわざわざ文句をつけに来る。その方の口添えで、そのうち次女に取り立ててもらう約束をしてるって、その名前が確か紳士でした。
紳士は皇太后付きの次女だったものだ。宦官に渡したのは手紙だけではあるまい。
皇太后の宦官古元から帝の暗殺計画を持ちかけられたと。帝の暗殺も三の妃および藩王女の殺害も全ては皇太后からの指示だ。ターチャの母君シャヒを毒殺したのと同じものでした。ターチャ、これは確たる証拠です。
そういえば愉快であったな。
He's probably gonna kill her?
お前の母親が舞う姿は。
Oh.
刑を執行せよ。
入ってよいとは言っておらんぞ。
ならば扉に缶抜きを下ろしておけ。
Oh.
最初に来た時からこの部屋は香の匂いがきついと思っていたが、髪染めの匂いをごまかすためか。
そんなことを言いに来たのか。なぜ私を見逃す。
そなたを殺す必要はなかろう。
That's methodical.
私を殺したいと思っているなら別だが。
憎いと言うなら、私自身が憎い。母を見殺しにしたからだ。
No, more like you heard. A fish?
約束の証にこれをやる。持っていろ。私はそなたを殺さぬという約束だ。私も同じだ。私も母を見殺しにした。
なんだ。
そなた、私の妃になる気はない。
What?
はあ、付き合っておれぬ。さっさといいね。
池のほとりでそなたを見たとき、女神とはこういうもの。
Damn. That's a compliment.
あれほど美しいもの、私は見たことがない。
Huh. He just rolled into bed. What is she doing? Oh, she can do that. Damn. So this is a very unique anime series, at least going by the first 2 episodes so far. I really like the incorporation of everything. Like, there's a little bit of mythology in there, there's a little bit of magic, a little bit of romance, and also mystery, death, tragedy, mixed in with reality. And I was so invested in the story that I decided to just watch episode 2 right away instead of doing the usual commentary, then starting all over again with a little bit of a recap, and then like what I liked about it, what I didn't, and then what I hope to see in the upcoming episode, then finally watching the episode and everything. I decided I just watch both just right now, since it was a 2-parter anyways. So to me, it's kind of like the first Shield Hero episode. It was like a 40-minute episode because it was 2 combined. It was a special. And I kind of treated this one like that, even though it was 2 separate episodes. You have to watch both to know what's going on and to complete the story. So I wanted to do that instead of just stopping and wasting a little bit more time. The fact that she dyes her hair, that was a surprise and also not a surprise. It was a surprise because I wasn't expecting it, but also because I forgot I already knew that. So basically, I had already seen the clip of the ending before, and in the comments, somebody said they were shocked that she dyed her hair. And I was like, wait, what? And I totally forgot about that part until I saw it. I was like, oh, that's right, she dyes her hair. But she looks really good with white hair. Like, really good. Which I guess makes sense, and that was like the original design, even though we see her with black hair, it's really white. And the fact that she was part of the Lan dynasty, that was like, damn. This is gonna be a very weird comparison, but the fact that she went running with her child decided to sacrifice herself for her child, to hide her and keep her safe, live a better life, it kind of reminded me of what happened in The Prince of Egypt. Because Moses' mother, Yocheved, she knew what was happening with all the other newborn babies that are being killed. She decided to risk her life in order to ensure that Moses could maybe live a better life. And yeah, he went to the palace and he became a second prince and lived a very good life for many years. And in this one, the Raven Consort, she got to live a good life. Sure, she heard her mother being beaten to death, which is really extreme, but she ended up living a good life so far. She was left alone. She was essentially the type of consort that if I was in her times, I would want to be, which is basically, you get the status, you get the privacy, nobody goes to your palace. And also, you're not subjected to the same type of things that all the other consorts have to do with each other, have to do with trying to please the emperor, because that's what the consorts are for. That's why there's so many of them. So the emperor has somebody to visit every night. Or he has a favorite, he goes to see her every night. But with the Raven consort, she doesn't have to do that. She doesn't know how to sleep with him at all. And I don't know if they said he does sleep with the other consorts or not. Because if he does, one, it makes sense. He's the emperor. It's just what they do. But considering that this is maybe sort of shaping to be a romance from what I see, I would prefer it if he doesn't do that and just sticks with her like a one-woman type of emperor. Which, yeah, historically speaking in China was never a thing except for, I believe, one emperor. And that's only because of how he grew up, seeing how terrible it was. I believe his mother's treatment and everything else, like how bad it was. So he grew up with that trauma. He didn't want to have to deal with that or have his wife deal with that. He just had his empress and that was it. He had no other consorts. The depiction of living within the inner palace, as far as I know, because I've seen a few Chinese dramas and also a bit of history books, is that for the most part, it is true. Given that they were never allowed to leave the inner palace once they were chosen by the emperor, and they were given like houses and positions as consorts, like your first ranking, your second ranking, your third ranking, like that. There was a lot of jealousy between all the consorts because they all wanted the emperor's attention. I would at least say quite a few would have been forced to be the emperor's consorts. Usually, sometimes it would be high-ranking noble daughters that would be chosen, but sometimes, given that some of like farmers' daughters would be really, really pretty, they would be chosen even if they didn't want to, given the fact that it would be a huge raise in status and it would help her family out. So it would be many things. It would be helping out her family, and also she really can't deny the emperor if he chooses her. No choice, really. Even if she was engaged to somebody else or if she was in love with somebody else, that wouldn't matter. If the emperor chose you, that was it. You really have no choice. The only real escape would be, just like what happened with that court lady, where like she was already engaged to somebody, but yet she was chosen to be a consort so she couldn't see him anymore. And given the fact that there was so much jealousy, since the consorts are never allowed to sleep with anybody else but the emperor, which makes absolutely no sense considering the fact that he has like thousands of consorts, but it made real no sense to me. It was just misogyny at its greatest. If they were ever found to be unfaithful, they would be killed. And typically, I believe it would be with the eunuchs or the guards because they would be the only men that they would be around. And I believe they would also be killed. It's a combination of everything. Being jealous of the other consorts if they're trying to gain the favor of the emperor. Being sexually frustrated because the emperor can't sleep with all of them all the time. And the emperor would have favorites at certain points. He would have his favorite consort and he would only choose her, or at least request her more frequently than the others. And I believe even there were some cases where there were so many consorts, the emperor sometimes never even saw them all. There would be some who never really saw the emperor, never slept with the emperor, and that was just their whole life, just like that. Never allowed to really leave the palace at all or anything. Like, they really lived like a very tragic life. Like, they lived in very good luxury, but in a very hostile environment. Again, this is just based on the notion, if everything that was said was true, and everything that I, at the very least, have heard is true, all the jealousy, all the turmoil and everything, then yeah. Also, typically, if the consorts had sons, the empress's son would of course be the crown prince. But if for some reason the crown prince suddenly died or had an accident or whatever, the next oldest son from another consort would then be the heir to the throne. And of course, that's typically how it would go. It was a lot of bloodshed to get to the throne. A lot of bloodshed. They would kill each other just to get to the throne. There would be a lot of like staging of deaths, hanging, suicide notes, all that would be done just to get one of their sons to be on the throne. And I believe there was even like, not as common, but there were some cases where a consort of the previous emperor, after the emperor would pass away, would eventually try to seduce one of the other princes and then hopefully gain his favor so that she could still remain empress when he became emperor. So it's a very mixed bag of things. And yeah, just like the Raven consort said, it's very sad how like even within the inner palace, death is seen as entertainment. They had nothing else to do. It's the sad reality, but it was their reality. This topic has made me very serious. Anyways, on to a lighter note. The first 2 episodes overall, I really enjoyed them. I love the animation style. Especially when she does the flower thing, I really like that. I like the Emperor. I like her lady in waiting. I like everything. I like the bird. Everything in general I like. I really hope the relationship ends up becoming more. The fact that he asked her to be his consort, I'm assuming he means just like the other ones, but I don't know. He could just mean just be my consort. Maybe that's just his way of telling her that he likes her. I don't know. In a way, I do like that he said that because she got all flustered. She was like, what? And then when it looked like he was gonna kiss her, she just stayed there like, okay then. But then it turns out he just ended up falling asleep, which is pretty funny. And I can only imagine the shocked look on her lady in waiting's face. She's like, oh my god, the Emperor stayed here. If that happens, then it would be extremely similar to the anime series The Story of Sayun Koko. Because basically something similar like that happens. The Emperor goes to visit his consort's room. He ends up falling asleep there. She ends up falling asleep next to him. And her lady in waiting ends up going into her room the next day, and she gets all surprised like, oh my god, I'm so sorry to interrupt, and then she leaves the room. But nothing was happening. That was funny though. I also like the fact that the Emperor didn't care that she had white hair, which I assumed he might have had an issue with, or at the very least his guard. But he didn't care. I love that line though. That was a pretty good line. He was like, I thought that's what a goddess would look like. And I was like, damn, that was a good line. Like, set in that context and like just like staring into her eyes and saying that about her natural hair. Not about her black hair, her natural hair, which she's had to hide since she was a kid in order to like make sure she didn't die. Like that must have really made her feel something because she was so shocked by it. I don't think I've ever heard another male anime character ever say something like that. So that was like a really good line. To me personally, that was a really good quote. Also, on a side note, I also followed this page on Twitter. I saw the Raven Consort's picture as a profile picture, and I liked it. And that's how I found out about this anime. And just looking at the images, I was like, this is gonna be a really pretty anime. And it is. To me, it's a really good animation style. I really like it. Also, one last thing. I'm actually surprised that I like the Emperor so much. Not because I don't like him, but typically because mainly my usual favorite male anime characters have long hair. Like, for example, Tomoe, His Majesty, Nobunaga-sama, Brother Suiro, all of them have long hair in common. And something about it just makes them really pretty, I don't know. But the fact that this Emperor has short hair, and yet he still manages to be one of my favorite characters, that says something to me. Like, oh, this is a good character. This is a good personality type. So I really like the author of this series so far. So I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode. And I really hope these two end up being in a relationship in the end.